Relationships during this lockdown is being put to true test. It can go either one way. It can make your bond stronger or can make you realize that you may be not compatible. Staying in front of each other, with each other 24 hours can get very hard during this lockdown. And who better to tell us than couples themselves? Very popular couple joining us today. I have Hasleen Kaur and her husband Amber Rana. Hasleen is a supermodel, Amber is a popular lawyer. We also have joining us supermodel Candice Pinto, Neal, along with her husband Neal, joining us for more on their foible and quirks, what happens behind closed doors. I mean, of course, the fun parts of it. We also have Anne Philipose joining us, who is a revered psychologist and a couple therapist as well. I'll start with Hasleen. Hasleen, when I said what happens behind closed doors, don't get me wrong. This lockdown, I'm sure you're dying to get out. But what's it like in closed doors with Amber?
I think when we got married, we didn't sign up for this. Staying with each other 24/7, into each other's spaces completely, constantly, all the time, doing house chores because we're not even very busy with work nowadays. Yeah. Amber and I, we do our own thing. So we've been at home and we've been very busy with house chores. That's not easy. We keep getting into each other's ways. And Amber takes everything very lightly. I have my mood swings and he's very good at handling that, actually.
Okay. I mean, how long did you all get married?
It's been about 1.5 years.
So now, could I say that you're still in the honeymoon phase?
Probably. That's why we've not left each other yet.
All right. Then what, according to you, was really adorable a while ago before the lockdown, and now with this lockdown, you find it annoying?
I think we were still in a very, so I sometimes I'm in Bombay for work and Amber has to be in Delhi because he's practicing here in Delhi. Mm-hmm. And we continued to write, lovely emails, or Amber loves to write letters and stuff like that, even though we are married now, but because of the distance, we would still continue to do all these kind of typically girlfriend, boyfriend type of things. But yeah, with each other, it's stopped.
So does that bother you? Apart from that?
I mean, I should be grateful for the fact that we are together 24/7, but there are certain things which are missing.
Let's ask Candice if she's so grateful. Candice, Drew, are you so grateful that you're in front of each other, getting to spend all the time that you'll always wish to spend with each other? Or is it come to a point you want to pull each other's hair?
Actually, we are so grateful because since the time we have been married, it's been 3 years now. We both are workaholics. We like working, and since the lockdown happened, we have been in isolation. Mm-hmm. So we used to always complain about missing out on weekends and stuff like that. So now it's been pretty good. What do you think, Drew?
Yeah, no, it's great. It's I've realized Candice has a lot more skills that she actually didn't tell me about before we were married. Okay. Turns out she's actually a fantastic cook. Uh-huh. She's also a fantastic domestic helper. So she's doing all she never really did before because we had help. Okay. So I think I've become a bit more appreciative of my wife.
Oh, great. So you're looking at the brighter side. But how many couples really
I never heard that before. I never heard that before.
How many couples are really looking at the brighter side?
Fighting or skirmishes, they keep happening, right, between any two individuals who are put into closed spaces. So it's not only about couples, it's generally about if you're constrained with maybe even your best friend. In such a situation, you will have a difference of opinion over certain collective choices. But again, the good point here, which at least I feel, and from my perspective, I feel couples can actually adhere to is in order to, realize each other's strengths, realize each other's weaknesses, work around them because, times change. So you don't know how and next, what are you looking at? And what better way than this? That's what we get married for, right? To be with each other in tough times and good times and so forth. So
yeah. But all of that is rosy and nice to say. But then when you're actually facing the situation, there's no palette that and you never signed up for a lockdown, did you?
No, we did.
No,
we didn't sign up for no.
But I think staying and having your own routine really does make a difference.
Actually, what we've implemented between the two of us is that the thing, none of us are used to doing house chores.
Yeah.
There are things that I may not know, there are things that Amber may not know. And initially there were fights, but what we realized is that these fights are not going to get us anywhere because this lockdown is not going to end. We have to figure out
Did you all speak about it? Listen, there's no escape. We can't go anywhere. We've got to stay at home. So let's bear with each other. Was there a formal talk?
Yes, we sat down and there were these few 3-4 days initially in between where moods were all over the place, and especially mine. And there was an adjustment issue. We were getting cranky as to why this is happening. And then Amber sat me down. He is more of this, when he realizes there's a problem, he's like, let's just sit down, let's just figure out a solution to it. And we were like, okay, this is how we'll set the routine. This is how we'll kind of put our work in between all the house chores, because so that we make sure that the housework doesn't get neglected, and neither do our lives and neither do our me time. You know, we need to have a me time as well, like me completely with myself, maybe on the phone or doing my thing, or Amber doing his own thing. So we've kind of chalked out our schedules in such a way. We wake up quite early, decently early. Amber wakes up at 5:30, I wake up at 7. So we have the full day, and we figure out a way to try to accommodate everything possible.
Yeah.
Great. So you have like a routine set. So you've got yourself sorted there. Let me go, before I come to Candice, I'll go to Anne. Anne, they seem like very sorted couples, Anne, but is that what you're finding on a regular basis, with people calling you, your phone's buzzing, couples wanting to claw at each other, and many of them realizing that they're not compatible post this lockdown?
The couples that I'm listening to just have it sorted, but the couples that are calling in, they're really struggling. They can't, there's a lot of small irritations and annoyances. And I think it has a lot to do with how the relationship was before the lockdown, So the cracks that were there have become more visible in a sense. And for couples who are on the mend, they're doing much better. So I think we're seeing a mix of both, but there's definitely a lot of struggle.
What is it about coupledom that really gets to you and gets the four walls around you closing in much more than if you were probably living in with a roommate?
I think with a roommate, what happens is you can be honest. You can, divide the chores up equally. There's space for that. With coupledom, we romanticize it and we assume my partner should read my mind, know exactly what I need and figure it out. And can't they see how hard I'm working? Can't they see how tough it is for me? And we don't have a space of empathy where we're like, okay, this is tough for them too. They're also stuck with us and we're not perfect and great either. We don't see that. I think that's the big struggle that happens.
I think it's also more about the boundaries. With a roommate, you have your boundaries set. Like, this is mine, this is my room, this is my shelf, this is my, counter. But with couples, the lines are totally blurred. Yeah, Candice, would you agree?
I think
blurred lines. You can walk into his space, he can walk into your space. There's no definition.
I would like to walk into space. I would like to walk into space, but I think it's difficult when you have family, when you have kids, and when you are staying with joint families. I think it's a little more easier when there's just two people involved. At least you're just two of y'all. If you have kids and if you have parents, I think it gets difficult then, because I come from a very big family, and forget lockdowns. Back in the days when our holidays together with all of us put together in a house was quite tedious, and we were fighting all the time because it was a big family. Yeah, we're just two of us, so I think we can still work our way around each other. But otherwise, with families and kids, it does get tedious.
Yeah, well, families and kids, I think, add pressure all the more. That's what I hear as well, isn't it? And would you say with kids and family around, there's added pressure to please everyone, cater to all of them at the same time while they're at home, and then you can't sort of blow up in your room with your partner and then expect for everyone else to ignore it. So you've got to keep it, and it's constantly simmering inside. So the struggle might just be more with the family and children. And let's not even get to the part that the woman usually has to do the lion's share of the work. I mean, as modern as a family it is, the woman eventually has to come down to doing much more of the house chores, along with actually having a real job.
Yeah, and that's the really hard part, right? Because we talk about being progressive and all of this, but it's really not that, because she has to do her work, her office work, and deal with the kids and the kitchen and the home. And it seems to, and that's the big concern that's coming up, you know, and with little children, depends on how old your kids are. So if you have little kids, they have a lot of energy. They're not really on their, you know, apps all the time or on their gadgets. They want to be entertained. They want to be with you. They don't understand that you're on a computer. Much harder, you know. And if you have in-laws, interestingly, when I'm hearing couples that have moved in with the girl's family, they're finding it easy. Versus living with your, you know, with the guy's family. And I'm curious about that sort of dynamic that's happening, right? Because what I'm hearing a lot of couples say is, and this is from the women especially, because they're so willing to be vocal about this, to say that my mom understands how tough this is. So I don't have to worry about imposing on my mother. But I think twice about imposing on my in-laws, you know, or asking something extra of them. You know, I wonder if I'm being judged. There's all of those little nuances that one has to figure out now, which earlier you had a lot of enabling services. You had people to come and help you do stuff. You could go away to work. You could space out from everybody. That's not happening for anyone.
Even a single small little issue which you otherwise would brush under the carpet now has amplified manifolds. Candice, what was it that you found so adorable, cute, you know, right before the lockdown period, which you now despise? Be honest.
Which I despise. I think, you know, I think it's my problem. I can't help it. Women do have long hair, and my hair basically is everywhere. Considering I'm in every room cleaning or doing something, so my hair is everywhere, and he lands up stamping it, or it's in his mouth. So that's really annoying for him. At the same time, there are certain things which...
I think for me, it's just a little bit of OCD of having things in certain places. So I'm constantly finding like nail varnish remover where I wouldn't have kept it because obviously I don't use it, but all of a sudden it's in my way. So it's little things like that. I'd just shift it and put it away. But when it's there every day, it's it can get a little frustrating.
Staying interested, keeping things interesting.
I don't think if you do puja every day and the dishes and looking like maids yourself, the interest levels can.
I just was about to say, there are no salons open, no question of grooming, unless you're doing stuff at home. But yeah, grooming is a big question now. So how do you remain interested? Go on, Amber.
But then I do so. I
didn't mean to. No,
I am glowing. No,
the thing is, of course, like you're not your best at this point at the lockdown, and there is no incentive to kind of look good or groom yourselves, or once you're tired with the whole day's work, you don't even, when you go to bed at night, there is no inclination to, you know, dress up or do something funny or do anything. Like it's just very, it's become a lot is just routine now. But we try our level best to do these. Last night we had a movie night, and 2 days back we had this drinking in the balcony with a music session, and we're trying to do these little things just between we live with our parents actually, and it's between the four of us and our dog. Amber and I, we're trying to now steal some time away, and these little 1 hour or 2 hours away from just the housework, and just be with each other and have these conversations that we used to earlier. I think that's what it's trying to keep us interested in each other.
I think it's these things are all, I mean, at least from my perspective, I feel it's more about how you perceive. It's generally about how you look at situations. I think looking up to people who are already living with this, we both come from army families, right? So we've had people who lived in bunkers for years without having any touch for anyone. So if they could do it, we are in a very privileged space with air conditioners, a dog, and a to talk to. So, I mean, it's all in the head. But again, you know, finding space for each other and chilling with each other. I mean, I feel we do need to accommodate that time, and that's really important for communication. It's really important also for keeping your balance, right? I mean, you're trying to manage a lot of squares. And in those squares, if you can manage your relationship, I mean, you won the battle, I think.
Now, because the lockdown is, is lifting, a lot of people have to go back to work. You know, the ease with work, which work was there in the beginning, maybe, where you weren't working hours, that's not there anymore. So, which means one or the other partner will have to really shift their focus back to work. and the other partner will have to do a lot more. That's just inevitable. So I feel just do what you can, be vocal about that. Tell them what you're willing to help out with, what you can take on, and be very, very appreciative when your partner's doing the stuff that they are. Leave them little notes, cut them flowers from your garden.
That's exactly what I'm saying. Those are gestures that you could probably live up to in the first initial 2 weeks. After that, it's all gone with the wind. You can't sustain something like that when you're seeing the person right in front of you. You don't want to be doing all the makeup all the time. Candice, go on.
Yeah.
How do you keep yourself interested and entertained and not crossing each other's path?
I think Drew will answer this because I'm quite entertaining.
Yeah, it's a full-on circus in this house all the time. Whether it's TikTok going on or Instagram going on, Candice is always doing makeup. So she's of course does all her work. But once that's set aside, then she does the glamour side of her work, which is like the TikTok and the fun and that sort of stuff. So I get to see her looking lovely as well as lovely as she can be with her scrubs. So I'm fortunate. Yeah,
it was quite funny because a while ago I was doing the quarantine fashion show video and I was washing utensils and I was swabbing, so it was quite entertaining. And no matter
who does the lion's share of the work? I all.
You know what he can do, I can't do, and what I can do, he can't do. So that's how we kind of balance ourselves out.
She does more though. I think it's our personalities, so we've kind of designated certain jobs. There's no two ways about it. Candice is a better cook than I, so that goes to her. There's no two ways better that I can tidy up a lot better than she can, so I just do that. So it kind of fell into place. It obviously took a little while to transition into that, but now we've kind of got a routine that everything works out today. It's worked okay.
We kind of planned the whole week.
Yeah, I think you set yourself a schedule from start to end of the day. And what are the regular issues that you get? What are the complaints? I mean, despite the husband and the wife, because there's that much work to actually do at home. It's not like where people are just sitting at home and lying around. Maybe a few of them are, but majority of them are still working from home. And when there's that much work, there's also that much to clean up, cook and whatnot. You really barely get the time to really fight. So, but when you do get irritable, how do you really ensure compatibility there? Because it all comes down to being more perfect roommates than partners, to be honest, this lockdown.
I think what actually has worked for us, we were very fortunate in as much as we both like to exercise. So exercise has been a great release of tensions and things, because obviously all day there's little things that grate on you. But as soon as we've done our hours exercise in the evening, which we do together, then when we come back, we're kind of refreshed. Maybe a little tired as well, so we don't have the energy to put into any arguments or anything like that.
Great, yeah. That's true. Fitness is what could keep you occupied as well and gives you the happy hormones too. And go on.
Yes, it does.
I feel separation, just having clear, artificial boundaries that we don't have anymore because we can't step out, we're not living our usual lives. I feel have very strict boundaries, even if you have a small home, a lot of people are working off their dining table, right? So if you're going to have dinner, move your work stuff. Don't just shove it to one corner of the dining table, move it away so your dining table again becomes a space for both of you to interact. And as much as, there is this whole idea of being together, I would say space, time apart is critical. Breathe, do your own thing, space out, chat with a friend. I often recommend when you have to do, just swapping the, kitchen or cooking, have your FaceTime on, chat with a friend. We all love having our girlfriends over or a guy, our male friends over, just having a conversation, while we're cooking, we're doing stuff. Have that, have those moments for ourselves. Creating that is critical. We don't always have to be together, and I think sometimes we're messing around with that a little bit. We're messing around with routines. I think we're really good initially with the routines. We are initially very, very good at being productive, and there's so much pressure and comparison about churning out all these exotic dishes that we're seeing on Instagram. And I feel like we need to calm down, take a breather, and know that we're not, we need purpose. But we don't need to keep doing this sort of performative experience that we're expecting of ourselves and of our partner. Because we're constantly comparing ourselves to couples that we see on social media who are just cracking it, or seemingly so.
Look, we have two right here.
Yeah, it's a tough one, It's so much pressure to put on oneself.
Yeah, true. Also, I'd surely like to touch upon those couples who aren't doing really well. I mean, God bless both these couples here, but there are that many who aren't able to manage this lockdown, who've already been in strained, flawed relationships. You know, they were just, you know, staying together, being married or in a relationship for a reason. But this lockdown is eventually, you know, it's leading to a lot of depression for one party in the relationship. More likely, if one person is indulging in infidelity, I'd like you to tell us, you know, how should one person really keep calm during this time? Because this has got to pass. You can't step out. There's no escape.
You know, and that's a tough one, right? Because earlier what happens is you could ignore it. You could turn a blind eye and pretend that your partner was not doing it because you're going off to work, they're going off to work, and you have that space. Now they're actually, they're being unfaithful in your bedroom with you on their phone, right? And that's a really tough one. So I often recommend, you know, and the one thing that I do recommend is don't have your big conversations in the lockdown. If you're going to have a conversation, keep it small, keep it to the issue at hand. And if there are maybe, you know, if somebody is having a relationship outside and you don't want to, so one, if you haven't addressed it already, it's not out in the open, I'd say take the time out, speak to your girlfriends about it. You might not have the space yet. Before you have a big conversation with your partner, approach help. You know, sometimes that's not helpful. But if it is out in the open, for instance, and you know, you and your partner both know about it, maybe you're already on the cusp of a separation or a divorce before this lockdown, you know, you can ask your partner to take it outside of your room. Keep it to a separate space. To say, you know, this feels disrespectful for me and it doesn't make me feel very uncomfortable. It's a reminder of all the grief. So I'd really like you to separate this. You know, keep it in a specific zone. It doesn't have to be in my face, right? I think those kinds of conversations are very critical. I think empathy is very important. You know, to know that everyone is coping differently, both partners. So somebody might be more logical, somebody is more emotional about this, but the underlying issue is usually the same. It's this ambiguous loss. You know, we don't know what we're actually mourning, for instance. We don't know what we're grieving. Are we grieving our hairdresser? Are we grieving our cafe? What are we grieving? There is no case to this, you know. But because our lives will not look the way it did before this. It will look like a different version, not maybe identical to that. It won't, not for a long while. So all of that brings in a lot of uncertainty, prolonged uncertainty, you know. And I think we need to talk to our partners about it. It's very important.
Right. Well, there's also a situation when you don't want to confront, because confrontation, it could just lead to a clash, and that's worse. So would you also advise if one person is temperamental, don't confront? Is that your suggestion?
If you feel like physical safety is an issue, of course. And I would recommend, make sure you reach out to somebody else. If you feel like physical safety is a concern, if you're saying that temperamental is such a big concern that you feel like you might feel threatened in that space, absolutely. And let a friend know. Let a friend or a family member know that you're feeling this way. Don't bring in big conversations if you don't have a safe space to step out to. Not the best time, yeah? Have a helpline number on hand. Have a neighbor's contact on hand. Even that much, you know?
Brilliant.
Whenever physical,
Excellent.
Sorry.
All right. So I think we've got most of it from all of you. If there's one suggestion, Hasleen, Amber, you want to give, please go on a final note for what's a happy couple formula?
Amber is saying that we must follow Taoism. No, that's anyway.
Amber, go on. You can speak.
No, it's just let it flow. I mean, these things happen just out of the best. The things happen, they're going to happen. You can't control them.
Yeah.
And the best way is just to adapt. And I mean, if our dog can adapt, we are human beings. So we are also adapting.
I think we've been through tougher situations in life, and there are people, like if we see on the news, the migrant workers, what's the situation for them? What's happening in the world around? If they can go through all of that,
you're in a better place. Yeah.
We're in a much better place.
Sure.
We should be good for the fact that we have a roof over our shoulders, we've got food to eat, and if we are bickering over a few things that irritate us, I mean, it's worth just swallowing it and moving on. It's not something
Absolutely. Candice, would you follow the same mantra? Just move on, let go of it, trivial issues, move past it, because this lockdown is here to stay. You've got to stay together as well.
I have I have so much of gratitude for where we are and what we are doing right now. And I think it's all about acceptance and adjusting. And this is going to be the new normal, I presume. So I guess we're working together as a team. And I think everyone should. And considering what's happening around, I think the only thing is to hope and pray for a better day to come.
I actually agree with Candice. I feel like cut your partner a wider berth, slack than you would normally. And the other is be very, very clear in your communication. So if you want something done, you're feeling a certain way, state it very clearly. Don't beat around the bush and don't protest versus request, So you can ask your partner, tell them you were counting on them to do this XYZ chore, and you can hopefully get it done by, let's say, a certain time, versus venting at them. If you want to vent, call up a friend, not your partner. So be very, very clear in your communication with them.
Thank you, Anne. Thank you, Hasleen, Amber, Candice, and Drew. You've been great. I hope you all are happy and go through this lockdown. Well, to each their own. Happy couples on social media shouldn't really be the yardstick. It's less about romance or even being great sexual partners. Eventually, it's all about being right housemates. Whatever keeps your domestic ship afloat, if you can keep that ship afloat, then you have all of it right. Remember, this will pass. You will go beyond this, and it's just a phase. You've got to just keep yourself calm through this period. Thank you so much for watching.
Hi everyone, Preeti Chaudhary here. Hope you like this video. For latest news and analysis, like and subscribe to the India Today YouTube channel. And don't forget to press the bell icon to stay updated. Thank you for watching.